Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered here this evening to discuss the up-and-coming EU referendum. Do we stay or do we go? A simple question, but a not-so-simple answer. There have been many mixed messages in the media and probably a lot of scaremongering on both sides of the fence. I hope to give you a few points to consider when you are stood at the ballot on that fateful Thursday in June. We should leave the EU, for many reasons, but I shall hone in on three in particular that I believe are being used to deter us from taking the leap of faith. I shall discuss the issues of trade, security, and our economy. Trade. As the world's fifth largest economy, we would be in a very strong position to go it alone. We have the history, the infrastructure, and the global reach, particularly with regard to the Commonwealth, to enable us to build new and much more flexible trading relationships with the world, whilst escaping the insularity of an EU which has its best days behind it. We have the opportunity to take back our laws and the control of our finances to make Britain a success. EU regulations, when we are out of the EU, will only apply when we trade with them. Fair enough, because that would purely be a customer requirement we have to meet. Currently, they apply even if we trade within the UK or to other non-EU nations. That logic means one customer is dictating another customer's requirements, which they didn't necessarily need or ask for. And if they didn't, why should they pay for it? Especially when somebody else could provide them with what they need at a lower price. Under those circumstances, who then has to absorb those costs of EU regulations? You guessed it, we do, leading to reduced profits, prosperity, and tax revenue. The UK's export to the rest of the world are growing twice as fast as our exports within the EU, and our three fastest growing exports are Chile, China, and the United Arab Emirates. All of these are outside the EU. Leaving the EU would provide the UK with the freedom to negotiate its own free trade deals, which is crucial when the EU has effectively become an uncompetitive trading bloc. Security. There is an organisation which has 28 members. It includes military powers such as Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and Poland. This institution has kept peace in Europe since 1949. However, it is not the European Union which has ensured conflict was unthinkable on mainland Europe, but NATO. It is time to expose the myth, often repeated by EU officials, that there is an intangible link between our safety and EU membership. Military collaboration does not rely on the EU. In fact, it duplicates it and skews Britain's resources and focus. The Mutual Defence Clause across the West relies on NATO's Article 5, which states an attack against one ally is an attack against all allies. Fundamentally, NATO is built for purpose as a military alliance, while the EU is not. Duplicating Western power in two different organisations is entirely wasteful. This only undermines effective coordination to counter more threats to British and European citizens. Economy. Over the last 6 years, the European economy has stalled. In that same period, the Indian economy has grown by more than a third. The Chinese economy has grown by nearly 70%. Over the next 15 years, Europe's share of global output is forecast to halve. Make no mistake, our continent is falling behind. Fewer than 1 in 10 local businesses trade with the EU, yet 100% must comply with red tape and EU laws on employment, waste management, environmental regulations, and health and safety. The burden of over-regulation is damaging many businesses across the country. By leaving the EU and deregulating, This would free these businesses up and allow them to train and employ more people, creating more local jobs. It would re-energise the job market and offer local small businesses a real chance. The Eurozone is at a crossroads. It must either integrate or disintegrate. And many experts, including the Governor of the Bank of England, agree that the single currency can only be saved by further economic integration. They can override our laws with the European Court of Justice. They can control our borders with the Freedom of Movement Act. But ladies and gentlemen, they cannot and must not take our pound. Let's not listen to the Remain campaigners who talk of staying in for a reformed EU. A reformed EU is not an option. On June the 23rd, we will be voting for the EU as we have it, warts and all. Let's not listen to the Chancellor either. He tells us, with difficult economic conditions around the corner, we would be safer in the EU. A no vote at the up-and-coming referendum on the EU membership is the only way to prevent an inevitable slide toward further economic and political integration before it's too late. This isn't about the next 5 years or 10 years. This is about building a free, independent, enterprising, successful and secure Britain for our future. Let's grasp the opportunity, as it may never come again.